or even saw you, officer, I would have stopped.
Arms out! Arms out like a fuck!
The movie opens on a quiet country road where Terry Richmond, a former Marine and martial arts instructor, pedals his bike in peace. With headphones in and the wind brushing past his face, he's enjoying a rare moment of calm. But in the world he lives in, peace never lasts for long. A flashing light suddenly appears behind him. Before Terry can react, a police cruiser swerves dangerously close, clipping his bike and throwing him to the ground. Stunned and scraped, Terry barely has time to look up before he's tackled by two officers.
On the ground!
Wait, hold on,
Get
you
on your
hit me!
face! Get on your face now!
Officer Evan Marston and his partner, Officer Steve Lan. They pin him down, snap on handcuffs, and accuse him of fleeing from a traffic stop. Terry protests, saying he never heard their sirens because of his headphones, but the officers don't care. Their tone is hostile, and they already treat him like a criminal. As Terry tries to compose himself, Officer Evan searches his backpack. Inside, he discovers a sealed package. Evan demands permission to open it, but Terry refuses. That refusal alone makes them even more suspicious. They say they'll call a K-9 unit, but warn it could take an hour to arrive. Terry, pressed for time, finally agrees. When the package is opened, both cops freeze. Inside is a stack of cash, nearly $30,000. To them, that's more than suspicious. It screams illegal activity. Terry insists the money is his. He explains desperately that $10,000 is for his cousin's bail, and the rest is for a used truck to start a small business together once his cousin is out. But the officers don't believe a word. Steve smirks, mocking Terry about his cousin's weed possession charge. They don't see an honest veteran. They see an easy target. Finally, they make their decision. Terry can leave, but the cash stays. They claim it will be seized for investigation under suspicion of drug money.
You're gonna get some paperwork in the next 30 days.
My cousin doesn't have 30 days. I need to get it.
You need to listen.
If he wants it back, he'll have to go through a mountain of paperwork and wait at least 30 days. Otherwise, he could face charges of money laundering. Terry, seething with anger but helpless, is forced to comply. His entire savings gone in seconds. He picks up his battered bike and makes his way to the courthouse. There he meets Elliot, a weary court clerk. Terry explains what happened, but Elliot shakes his head. Without money, nothing can be done. Worse still, Elliot reveals that the jail is under renovation, and prisoners are being transferred to state prison, a place where survival is far from guaranteed. Terry knows his cousin Mike, already vulnerable, won't last there. As Elliot leaves for the day, he introduces Terry to his colleague Summer McBride. She's a law clerk studying to become a lawyer. Compassionate and sharp, she listens as Terry vents his frustration. Over drinks later, she explains something chilling. The police in this town are notorious for using loopholes to confiscate money. If citizens fail to reclaim it legally, the funds are absorbed by the department. To them, it's a business, a corrupt one. Terry realizes he has no time to waste. His cousin's transfer is scheduled for Thursday, just days away. He needs money fast. He calls Mr. Liu, owner of a Chinese restaurant and a business partner, asking for a loan. Liu agrees to transfer $10,000 within hours. Fueled by desperation, Terry doesn't just wait. That night, he tracks down the very police department that robbed him. The next day, he walks in and tries to report a robbery, describing the culprits suspiciously like Evan and Steve. Officer Jessica Sims takes the report, but Steve himself suddenly walks in, shutting it down as a false claim. The tension escalates when Chief Sandy Byrne, head of the department, steps in. Instead of investigating, he sides with his men. Terry, barely holding his rage, offers a compromise. Keep the rest of the cash, just return the bail money. Sandy, tempted by greed, agrees, but arranges a meeting for Thursday morning. When Thursday arrives, Terry rushes to the station at the appointed time, but betrayal stings once again. The prisoner bus carrying his cousin has already left. Sandy had deliberately moved the schedule forward.
We pulled up our schedule. You're 3 minutes late.
Terry races on his bike, chasing the bus, and manages to shout instructions to his cousin. Demand protective custody. It's the only way to survive state prison. Frustrated but undeterred, Terry returns to Summer. She's uncovered damning information. The corruption runs deeper than anyone imagined. Even the courthouse judge is involved. Together, they begin plotting a way to expose the rot. Terry confronts Chief Sandy again, threatening him. A scuffle breaks out, but Terry's Marine training kicks in. He disarms Evan and Steve, forces them into submission, and uses Jessica's handcuffs to restrain them. Dragging her along, he heads to the evidence room. Inside, Terry finds an arsenal of weapons and piles of confiscated money. He retrieves his stolen cash, but only takes $10,000, honoring his original intent. Before leaving, he empties Jessica's gun, then orders her to pretend she's escorting him out under arrest to avoid getting shot by snipers outside. She complies, driving him to safety. But Terry knows time is against him. He rushes back to Elliot's desk at the courthouse with the bail money. Summer hurries to get the judge's signature. Just as hope seems within reach, a swarm of cops floods the building. Terry is arrested once again. Dragged into the courthouse catacombs for a medical checkup, Terry is then taken by Evan to Chief Sandy. During the ride, Sandy lays out the truth. They've dug into Terry's background and realize they picked the wrong man to mess with.
Today should have never happened. If I'd known who you were, maybe it wouldn't have.
At a hospital stop, Sandy hands Terry his remaining cash but warns him, stay quiet, forget this ever happened, or face 30 years in prison for attacking officers. As a final blow, Sandy reveals Terry's cousin Mike was assaulted in prison and is being flown in, gravely injured. At the hospital, Terry watches in heartbreak as Mike dies. Grief-stricken, he accepts a ride from Summer, but corruption isn't done haunting them. They're tailed by a police car. Summer reassures him it's just a friend keeping watch, but Terry no longer trusts anyone. That night, Summer's home is invaded. She's drugged, and when she awakens, she finds evidence pointing straight back to the cops. Terrified, she calls Terry, who rushes over. He finds her alive but shaken. Summer confesses she has a history with drugs, once losing custody of her daughter. If she's tested now, she could lose the chance to ever reunite with her child. Soon after, the corrupt judge summons Summer for a drug test, proving his collusion. She complies, devastated. Meanwhile, Terry is ambushed again by Steve and his partners. He's shot, wounded, but refuses to give in. Using sheer willpower, he tases Steve and escapes. Injured, he retreats to Mr. Liu's restaurant where Liu tends to his wounds. Joined by Summer, Terry makes a bold decision. If they can't outfight the cops, they'll outsmart them. Their target, the judge's house. Breaking in, they confront him. Cornered, the judge admits everything. Sandy's department was broke, so they resorted to illegal seizures. Defendants never won because the court itself was compromised. Even worse, the state quietly endorsed it because part of the funds flowed into government budgets. Traffic stops like Terry's were traps. And the most damning evidence? The cops' dash cams, which recorded everything. Determined, Terry and Summer break into the courthouse catacombs to retrieve the footage. But the cops are ahead of them, setting fire to the evidence room. Summer bravely stops the flames, and together they grab the memory cards before reigniting the fire to cover their tracks. Outside, Terry waits for Summer, but she's captured. He follows, ambushes one of the kidnappers, and forces him to radio Sandy. They arrange a trade, Summer for the memory cards. The meeting point, Rebel Ridge. At dawn, Sandy's men wait, but Terry never shows. Instead, Sandy receives a call. Meanwhile, Evan discovers a car rigged with Officer McGill tied inside, a decoy left by Terry. The real Terry? He's already infiltrated the police department. Inside, he rips open walls, retrieves weapons, and prepares for war. Sandy rushes for the money stash, but Terry intercepts him, firing beanbag rounds to incapacitate him instead of killing. Jessica arrives, and Terry finally realizes she's the ally Summer had hinted at. He entrusts her with the memory cards, telling her to release them to the world. But outside, chaos brews. Sandy's men surround the station. Terry hands Jessica a loaded gun and sets piles of dirty cash ablaze with gasoline. Jessica panics, refusing to escalate. She drags Terry outside. There, Steve confronts him, smashing the memory cards and revealing Summer has been knocked unconscious. They plan to finish Terry once and for all. Yet in that moment, Evan hesitates. He sees the corruption for what it is and decides to stand with Terry.
All right. We're sworn officers.
Hey,
Do not point your weapon.
Guns are raised in a deadly standoff. Sandy shoots Evan in the leg and disarms him. Terry seizes the moment, unleashing smoke grenades and creating chaos. With Evan's guidance, he activates the dash cams. The recordings will go live in 3 minutes. A brutal showdown erupts. Terry fights with precision, disabling officers one by one, but never killing. He finally faces Steve, the man who shot him earlier, and delivers payback before escaping with Summer in Steve's own car. Pursued relentlessly, they're saved when Jessica sacrifices her position, crashing Sandy's car to give them a chance to flee. At the hospital, Terry rushes Summer and Evan into the emergency ward. Exhausted, bloodied, but resolute, he rips out the camera storage drive from the car. In his hands lies the evidence that can expose Sandy, the judge, and the entire corrupt system. The movie closes on Terry, standing outside the hospital, holding the truth that could bring justice, if he survives long enough to release it. And that's where the story of Rebel Ridge ends. I hope you enjoyed this recap. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more epic movie breakdowns.